All right, what is going on, everybody? How are you? Happy Monday night. Tonight is not just any Monday night; it's Labor Day evening, and so I don't anticipate there's going to be too many people on board tonight. But for those of you who are on and with us, I welcome you, and I look forward to talking about your questions, taking your phone calls, whatever's going on. Hey, Tanya, what's going on? Tanya's in. Shelly's in. What's going on, Shelly? Hey, Diane. Hey, Tanya, I'm here. Whoop whoop. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum. I didn't have time to. Oh, you know what? I do have time. I'm going to get my little air purifier thingamajigger going here. What's going on, everybody? There's people pouring in right there. Karina, what's going on? How are you? 100% natural, beautiful is in the house. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Jamie, how are you? D, welcome, D. So glad that you are all here on Labor Day. I didn't know who would show up on Labor Day. I figured most people would probably be taking a break. I'm not. D says, Kevin, you must be reading my Facebook page. Your video about choosing a family is what I posted on my timeline several hours ago. I'm glad you liked that video. I did not read your post on Facebook, but it's good to know we're on the same page. This was a very difficult message to get out there for a lot of reasons. I tried my best to be careful with the message for those of you who have not seen the upload this afternoon, today, on family, right? On the family of choice. The chosen family is what it's called, choosing your family. And basically, it comes from the understanding and the knowledge of the biblical principle where Jesus basically said that the disciples, these people are my family. This is where I got it from. And I've chewed on that and dissected that verse in scripture. And there's people who didn't agree with that. There's one person that said, I think you're misinterpreting what Jesus said. He wasn't rejecting his family and whatever. And I get that, but I believe he was. He was not rejecting his family, but rejecting the idea and the principle that you and I have gotten stuck on for years, which is that you cannot change the family you're born into, and therefore you can't change your family, and the false narrative that we have around family. That's really what the video was about. And, you know, D says, it is something that I admit struggling with because I did a DNA test and discovered my biological family a few years ago. My adoptive narc mom was highly offended just to know I took the test. Yeah, it is a struggle, and I struggle with that as well, right? Because here we are. I'll tell you what, you never fully understand, I think, the reality of moving on and finding your chosen family until you start to age. You get out of your teen years, you get out of your young adult life. I think even in your 20s and such, and even your 30s, you typically are still stuck, around the same nuclear family, mom and dad, and it's kind of tragic because many people are stuck in that without really fully knowing how blessed they could be if they would move on, therefore leave thy mother and thy father and cleave to your new spouse. And anyhow, that's what that video is about. So hi, everybody who's signing in right now. Let me say hi to everybody. Anna Vargas, thank you so much. Glad that you're here. Diane Feliciano, absolutely loved it. Thank you. I'm glad glad you liked it. I'm here. Unfortunately, I don't get a break. Oh, sorry, Laura Strong. I know you're going through a lot based on our conversation that we had, and we'll make sure we're here for you. So if you have any questions, Laura, go ahead and put them in the chat here tonight. There's a lot of people here who will answer you, and even I could possibly answer you too if you have some things that you're struggling with right now. Hey, Shia girl, I hope I pronounced that right. I'm so glad that you're here as well. Let's see who else is in here. Mystique, what's going on? Lots of people signing in for a Christy Helper. Having strong morals and boundaries makes you crazy. Isn't that the truth? And that's wild. It's such a false dynamic. That you're the crazy one for leaving toxic relationships, and that makes you the unstable one. It's not the people who stay in the toxic relationships yelling and screaming and cussing at everybody. It's the ones who try to get away from it. They're the ones who are definitely something's wrong. Isn't it weird? I'm telling you, toxicity especially in dysfunctional family dynamics, is so weird. It is just weird, the mentality. Um, and it's just the way the world is going, too. The world has this mentality like, no, you have to fight and argue with people. If you stay away from that, you're the weird one. So wild to me. So wild. And let's see, what else do we got here? Hey, Fee Fox, what's going on? It's good to see you. Liz Lopez, what suggestions? When ignoring narcissists is just not enough, and they do gaslighting, and just find enjoyment in dragging your name in the mud for no logical and apparent reasons. And if it's not bad, all right, Liz Lopez, this is narcissistic abuse. This is what narcissists do. Ignoring a narcissist. So basically, you have to do exactly what you just said. You've got to ignore the narcissist. You have got to go no contact with these people, whoever it is. If it's your family members, you've got to just stop talking with them. You've got to get off of social media because they do enjoy the dragging your name through the mud. And the reason they enjoy it, because the way narcissistic abuse works in their narcissistic world is they need somebody to be dragging through the mud. Otherwise, they are. It's kind of a scarcity mentality. It's not kind of, it is very much a scarcity mentality. In their worldview, there is not enough popularity or coolness or status to go around for everybody. In other words, there's not enough room for everyone. And this comes because of the way they were raised and they had to fight for attention or whatever. And as a result, that's what they're constantly doing, fighting for attention. And they've learned that one of the ways to do it, and it's not good attention, by the way, but one of the ways they've learned how to do it is to put people down, to gossip about people, to smear people's names. And I believe what toxic narcissists have hit on is they've hit on an understanding, they've hit on a nerve that people like drama in general. And so they're able to talk with people and create drama and feel comfortable living in their world with these people with drama going on. It's up to you, Liz, to get out of that drama. And will you still be talked about? Probably, even when you're long gone, right? If you go no contact, they will still talk about you. But your goal should be moving on to the point where you do not care. You're so far gone, out of the picture, it doesn't matter. Listen, I've got people back in California, siblings, in-laws, whatever, who still hate me and are still probably getting their jollies and giggles out of talking about me. Meanwhile, their lives are all busted up and narcissistic and they're miserable people. So I've learned that and I've let them go. And they have no effect. What they say about me and their little circle of influence does not affect me. And this is where you need to be. This is exactly where you need to be and what you need to aim for. All right. Hope that makes sense to you. And let's see. I've recently gone no contact with my father. This is from Kyle. And it is the biggest relief that I've had in 2 years. My parents divorced and definitely taken a lot out of me. That would take a lot out of you. And being able to go no contact with your father, if he's somebody who's caused a lot of pain, that's a huge deal. That's great. And so I would say congratulations to you. And if that's something that you need to do, then that's great. Set those boundaries by going no contact. And when I say congratulations, I mean congratulations on being able to set your boundaries. Because that's what going no contact is you're standing up for yourself, but in a different way, right? You're not being dragged into a fight. You're saying, I'm going to rise above that fight because it makes no sense to fight. You know? Too many people here do not know what it's like to really fight. Narcissists don't know what it's like to really fight. Their biggest fight in life is themselves. They really don't know what it's like to fight. And this is why they fight anybody and everybody who they say they love. I say we round up all narcissists and bullies and people who like to fight, send them off to a real war, and then let's see how they do. Shea Girl. OMG. This is why I always wondered why there was endless drama in the house. It annoyed me. Yeah, that's just what they do. They enjoy that drama. Laura asks, do you have any advice for those that have to deal with the narco? I had no idea what I was dealing with until I had kids. So the question, Laura, do you have any advice for those that have to deal with the narc? uh, who basically have no idea until later on. Well, you don't know what you don't know, right? I and so if you don't know you're dealing with a narc yet, you don't know what to do. By the time you start to realize you're dealing with a narc or a narcissistic personality, it's confusing, to say the least. You don't know what's going on, and you're overran with all kinds of you start to rely on the narratives you've been given in life. You rely on if I just pour more love into him, maybe that'll work. If I work on being better myself in the situation, then that should work. If I, on and on and on. This is typically what happens. I'm going to move my seat, get more comfortable here. This is typically what happens when we're dealing with toxic, abusive narcissists. We try to pour on more sugar. We try to really just uh, turn up the heat on the love or whatever, because that's what we think we should do. And we've not yet discovered that that doesn't work when we deal with narcissists, sociopaths, psychopathic people. They look at that as enabling. They look at that as they win and you are now their servant. Who know? They look at it in all kinds of weird ways. And so it really comes to this place where you've got to get out of the situation, go no contact. That's the only way out. And we do got a phone call here. You're live on the Royal We.
Hi.
Hi. Shelly.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I recognize that voice. How you doing? It's been a long time.
I'm so much better, Kevin. Thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing great. What's going on?
Well, I watched your video today, and it touched on me because I have one sister that I've been talking to, and actually I have five sisters because I found out my dad had three other daughters, like after my mom had left, and there's four of us that are biological to him. And I was wondering, she plays both sides. She's the baby of the family and seems to be I guess playing both sides all the time. And
Right.
never, I went for years and I'd go see her, and she had three kids. So I would, take her kids' things and go there for holidays. And even when my ex was abusive, he was, trying to triangulate her into our relationship whenever he was doing whatever he was doing. And it just seemed like, she was more of that side. And now it's like, she'll never say, but I think it's kind, Kevin. I think I got a lot of Margot.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, as far as the other part of my life, my daughter's off to college, so that's a wonderful thing.
Good.
My son's, yeah, she actually went off to college, and I'm so proud of her. And then my son, he's over there right now. It's been like 6 days, but it's the first time he's seen him in like 5 or 6 months.
Right.
And still, I appreciate everything that I'm learning from you and from this community and other communities. And I'm just, I guess that you touched on the subject of who's your family. And I just feel like, she's got a new boyfriend. She left a marriage of 25 years and it was abusive.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking that maybe it's time to let her go too. And it's hard because it's the last one,
I know.
And they'll have like a Zoom call, and they invited me, but then I've got two other siblings or three other siblings on there that I don't talk to, so I'm not going to get on.
Okay.
But it's a lonely place, Kevin, for all of those people out there that are listening. It's very lonely,
It is a lonely place. But the reality is that, it can be a lonely world. It really can. It really can. If we find very close, good friends, we're very fortunate in this life. And we have to be very careful with who we select to bring into our world and into our life. And because it can become even lonelier when you start to pour out your love and it's not reciprocated. There's, it's bad being lonely, but it's worse being in a relationship and being lonely. That's even worse. If you were to ask me,
agree.
you know what I mean? So,
I agree.
but I understand. Well, I understand the loneliness, and loneliness can last a long time. But I also understand that, you know, we're
Only for the, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I understand, like that lonely thing, but I'm not I'm not lonely for the person because I was definitely lonelier with him.
yeah,
So it's not that. It was never like that close. It's more of like spending all these years and putting all that effort into people that never reciprocated.
yeah,
And here I am. I'm alone. I mean, my daughter's off to college, which I wouldn't have it any other way because she needs to take care of her own life. I don't want to
right.
capture her. And then my son, he's doing all right. Um, just but I find myself where I used to have direction. I don't have the kind of direction I would like to have, and it's hard to build a life without people. It's like you're building a building or whatever, and you don't have anybody to put in the building. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I completely do. It depends on what your goals are and what you're trying to build. Obviously
how do you have
you
if
can't
you
build a
don't have?
relationship without people, and you can't build that. But at the same time, it just depends. It depends. And that's unique to everybody, right? So if you're somebody who does need and you require people in your life in order to feel like you're building and moving forward, then it's probably important for you to safely learn how to safely meet people, but with boundaries. There's some people who come out of narcissistic abuse. I happen to be one of them, and my whole worldview has shifted, and I almost feel uh, uh, even more cautious around people than ever before, and I almost feel more
And
comfortable on my own, completely alone, just me and my day after day after day. I'm perfectly fine with that. Now I don't have that because I have children still, you know, but I just don't see, other than being with people who, you know, um, uh, who I'm working with and we're trying to reach a common goal. I don't, personally, I don't, but I get what you're saying, but I personally don't necessarily feel the need for that. But I understand yours in that you do need that. You do want that. And you do
well,
struggle with the loneliness.
I can't say I do, Kevin, because I've never had that. I've never had like family that. Usually, if I had them, it was only for them to get what they needed out of me, and then it was the same cycle, where
Right.
I did something wrong. So it's not really that; it's finding direction. But to this community, I want to say that it does get better, even though it's still hard,
Yeah.
And I feel directed me to a home. I'm buying a home. It hasn't quite happened yet, but I thought that the first thing I needed to do after leaving and living in an apartment or condo that I lived in 16 years ago, pretty much a condo, it's older.
Sure.
And and then being able to find where I wanted to plant myself, which I decided closer to my gym would be good, And then
Right.
I had, with divorce things, you have to stay in the community where they tell you to stay.
Yeah.
But I still yeah, it still feels like, it's weird, like being alone. And I can spot like people, like even in the gym, that, hey, I need to stay away from that person, or I've noticed what they've done, like repetitively, I just want to say, like to anyone listening, that Kevin's videos, your videos, Kevin, have been so instrumental
Well, thank
and
you.
logical myself to be able to heal.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
the direction is really important, Like if you don't have direction, like you mentioned goals, like how can you have a goal if you don't have direction?
Well, I believe direction needs to come from within you. I don't believe direction comes from other people. I think that is one of the things that we are overcoming when we come out of narcissistic abuse is the false narrative that we need other people to tell us who we are and to tell us what we need to be and to tell us how good we can do and to tell us what we should be doing. And I think that coming out of narcissistic abuse, it's that awakening moment that you got to jump on that tells you, oh, hell no. I'm going to decide and determine where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do, and I'm going to pray about it, and I'm going to pray that the Lord is going to bless me and give me insight and wisdom. We really need to stop relying. We put too much, and I've got videos coming out this week on trust. We put too much trust in other people in this world to give us an okay and to give us permission to do things in life. And
Right on.
we need to stop that because it gets us nowhere, because nobody is responsible for you. And I know you're a believer, Shelly, and I know
I
that when you get to heaven one day and it's just you and your maker, your creator, and he's looking at you saying, Shelly, what did you do with your life? You're not going to be able to say, well, I didn't have people to direct me. He's going to say, look around you, Shelly. Nobody's here standing here next to you. It's you and me. What did you do with your
I'm pretty
life?
scared
And
they're gonna tell me I did a rotten job by myself.
right. And so that's what I'm saying. So as far as the direction thing goes, my hope for you is that you start to get your direction from within. You don't need permission from anybody to do anything that you enjoy doing in this life. Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I'm finding my joy
You need
in that.
yourself, and
Finding my
you
joy
don't
in having
need anybody to pat you on the back. You don't need anybody to say "atta girl,"
I don't
you know. You just need to go and do. And that's it. And I know it sounds easier than it is, but it's the absolute truth. And this is just for everybody in here. You just need to go and do. And
I
listen,
think it's
the right,
more of like finding the actual enjoyment, like the go and doing by yourself.
yeah,
And maybe it's part
that's
of
it.
getting to know yourself,
That's
you
it.
know?
That's it. You just go and you do by yourself. I mean, the Royal We started with just me and a camera and nobody else. And then there was one person who subscribed, and I was talking and talking basically to myself for the longest time because it was me doing what I enjoy doing. So if you're wanting to go out and you're the only purpose you are doing things is so that you can, get attaboys or whatever from other people, then you're going to find yourself in a place of hurt. We've got to break this need. It's okay to want community, but it cannot get us to this point in life where we are depressed and down and out because we can't stand the thought of being alone. And
Well, I
we're
definitely
too
would
afraid. We're
say,
too afraid of just what's inside of us and doing what we can do from within ourselves.
I love what you just said. Now, I don't feel like I've done that because I've only had like really one close friend that has stuck through me with all of this. But I don't feel like I'm looking for validation from other people. It's more about feeling good about what I'm doing. And maybe it's because I was used to getting that validation or seeking it or something, perhaps, you know. And now I'm trying to find it in myself, and it's the place I've ever been.
Right. Right. Well, listen, I want to give some
And
other people a chance to call too. I'm going to put the telephone number up. But Shelly, I am glad that you called, and I enjoyed talking with you. And uh, as I said before, I'm trying to type the phone number as I'm saying goodbye to you. As I said before, Shelly, my hope for you is that like I said, just keep doing what you're doing. You're in a good place. Yes, it can be lonely. Loneliness is a part of it. And I believe that that we all stay lonely until we start to live a life from the inside outward in which we're being truly authentic. If we're living only for other people, if we need other people to direct us, then we're not living authentically. And that can be painful, and that's a problem. And that's one of the things the Royal We is trying to help people break free from. So hope this makes sense to you. And
yeah, but
I'm going to let you go.
well, can I just say that I don't think we're on this planet to be alone, and it's about finding your family, like your video said today. And that's
Yeah,
what I'm doing,
true.
and that's why I'm here, and that's why I come back, and that's why I believe in what you're doing and saying, and I thank
Cool.
you, and I'm grateful to everybody. So thank you.
Right on, Shelley. Thank you very much.
God bless you, Kevin. Thanks.
You too.
Thank you, everybody. Steve,
Bye.
Tanya, thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you so much, Tanya, for calling in. Shelly, not Tanya. She said Tanya. She got Tanya's name on my mind. But thank you, Shelly, for calling in. And Shelly has been a part of the Royal We family for a very long time, and that's great. I love hearing from people and seeing what's going on. So I know we were on the phone for a while, but I want to go back and see if there's any questions that I missed. Maybe Dee can tag some questions. I want to make sure that. Let's see. And the phone line is open too, so I did put the phone number up there for you. And so this week, just so you know, there will be a video posted every single day on the Organic Royal Wheat channel, and I have some good things coming this week as far as videos go. One of them is going to be on trust, as I mentioned earlier. One of the videos is going to be on health supplements, and I'm excited to talk about this with you all because there is an aspect of healing from narcissistic abuse, which is getting back in health. And I'm excited for you to see this video because I'm talking about 3 things that I've done that really helped me. And these are actual not supplements because it's real food. I'm not into the powders and stuff that you get at, workout stores because God knows what's in that, super strong man protein with amino acids and gut healing, diarrhea formula, whatever. I'm not into that stuff, but I do like healthy whole food alternatives. And I found 3 great things that have worked for me in miraculous ways that I haven't really shared before or talked about before. So I put it in a video and I actually show the products. And no, it's not an advertisement, but I talk a little bit about what the products do for me anyway. So I'm excited to D says, ooh, Kevin wants the fulvic and humic acid minerals. No. But, here we go. We got a telephone call here. You're live on the Royal We.
Hi, this is Peace to All. I had called last week, and I just had a follow-up question for you.
Sure.
My father, it's a relationship with my father and my stepmother, and my father was like the love of my life until he basically left my family when I was 13. And he was an attorney. He left for his paralegal, who was like 23 years younger than him. That wound up not working. And then a year later, or 2 years later, he wound up marrying his next paralegal. And they've been married for about 20 years. And she has completely taken over, basically him as a father. He's basically
Right.
like her father figure and younger woman. And, my brothers and I have kind of had to, go after him for his love. And he's kind to us sometimes, but not really totally there for us. But she's always trying to sort of have control the relationship with us. And every time I talk to them, I just wind up leaving, just feeling depleted and just, But I want to in the Bible, it says, honor your father. So I don't know how to do that and not feel like crap.
Yeah, well, I mean, in these types of situations, so first you have to understand that the relationship to your father, despite you, and I don't know the whole story of his separation from your mom, but is your mom and him divorced then?
Oh, yeah, they divorced. Yep.
Okay, and he is remarried, right? Okay.
Yes.
So this woman and your father, they're a unified relationship. I don't agree with how they went about doing it. I don't agree 100%, and I don't believe that it's blessed in the ways in which you would think that it should be blessed. I think that your father made a choice that damaged a lot of people in pursuit of his own selfish needs in life, and I believe that it was absolutely 100% selfish on your father's part to leave your mom and leave his family and go with this younger girl. That being said, all you can do is understand this selfish piece of your father, and that's not your responsibility. And I know you miss the dad that was that loving person, that you were his favorite child, But what you're also now have to accept is this wicked and evil part of your father that you now know about. And that being said as well, now understand also that he's married, and him and this current woman he's married to, their relationship is unified. They're one. And so whatever he does, she does. Whatever she does, he does. So there is a lot of control there. And she is going to be exercising that power if she can to keep you away or control the relationship. And you know, she's kind of vested in doing so because to her, she's the queen. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
your dad is the king, and she's doing what she thinks she has to do to protect him from possibly being scrutinized or whatever from you and from your brothers. And so, I guess what I'm trying to say is that you honor them, you honor him by letting him go.
Mhm.
He made his decision in life. He made his decision to wreck the family that was, to selfishly pursue something else. The most forgiving thing you can do is to forgive him by not seeking revenge. And the most honorable thing you can do to honor him is to let him go. And just
Mhm.
in your heart and in your brother's heart, say, Dad, if that's what makes you happy in life, then by all means, be blessed. And that's it. And, he knows the damage he caused. He knows the destruction. You don't need to remind him of it. And
Mhm.
he'll spend the rest of his days uh, trying to hide from it. You know what I mean? By living with this, by being married and doing things with this woman. And I think in a way they both are. They both are just going to spend the rest of their time just trying to hide from the reality of their own failures and messing up in this world. So, I just think the most honorable thing you could do is let him go, you and your brothers. And how old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm in my early 40s.
Okay. Yeah. Are you married?
No. I
Okay.
have a daughter, but I was never married.
All right. So this can be a problem because naturally you have a desire also to have a man in your life. And this happens all the time with women. I don't know why it's a phenomenon, but when they're not in a relationship with a man, when they are not married and they are not the matriarch of their own family, it seems to be they gravitate eventually back to their own father because you have naturally you have a nurturing thing about you. You're a nurturer. It's almost like a insatiable pull. You need to be nurturing something, either a child or a man. And when you don't have that, you gravitate back to your father. I can nurture my father. Um, his wife's not going to let you. She's going to be there at every doorway saying, "It's not your place. It's not your place. It's not your responsibility. It's mine. Get out of here." And,
Yep.
and so that's what you have to understand, that be understanding. And you're still in your early 40s. If you have a strong desire to be nurturing, then, my prayer for you would be to carefully and prayerfully find a partner in your life who's deserving and worthy of your nurturing, and form and
Okay.
nourish that relationship. And
But the stepmother actually said to me a couple years ago, um, Jeannie, when your dad dies, he's basically going to leave everything to me
sure.
so that it can foster a relationship between me and his kids after he's gone. So she does all these things. So it's like, I just feel like I'm like, it's kind of like blackmail. Like
Yeah,
she
well,
wants to be connected to us, but then it's like I have all these emotions of like losing so much from her that it's hard to just forgive that.
I understand, but it's his new wife, you know. So obviously you're not going to, you know. I'll tell you. Can I share with you my story?
Sure.
You might understand a different side of my story, right? So most people
Okay.
know the most narcissistic abuse that I've dealt with, and the most traumatizing narcissistic abuse that I've dealt with is that of my in-laws, my wife's half brothers and sisters, and her dad's side of the family. And
Mhm.
from my perspective, they were trying to come in and they started hating me for whatever reason, and I was nice and I was kind to them, but I'm different than them. I don't vote the same way that they vote. I'm different. But so what? I'm the type of person we can get along anyways. But they started to try to do things with my wife involving my kids behind my back, and I was there to step in and say, no, that's not how it works. I'm the dad.
Yep.
I'm the dad. You need to go through me. They hated that. I was accused of being the reason that my wife couldn't hang out with her own family anymore, right? Oh, she can't hang out with us because Kevin won't let her, which wasn't true. I just stopped. I distanced myself because I did not like the attitudes that I was seeing. And I have every right to not like those types of attitudes that I was saying because this is my family. It's my family.
Exactly.
It's my family first. It's not theirs to talk with my wife and plan parties for my kids. And then, oh, by the way, tell Kevin and he should be okay with it. So basically what was happening was this tug of war. My wife's family believed that my wife belonged to them.
Yep.
And I was there saying, it's not how it works. You're going to respect me or we're out. And I took my family and moved 5 states away. So the reason I'm telling you this is to be careful because I'm thinking as I'm telling you this, you might be able to understand the other side because you may be able to understand that relative side that now is looking at the outsider saying you are making it impossible for me to get what I want from the person who I believe is my family. And so that's why I want to caution you with that. Understand that the marriage relationship comes first. You don't have to like it, but it comes first. And that being said, you have an advantage through talking with me now and through having this understanding. The advantage is this. If you really want a good relationship with your dad, you will respect and honor his wife. That is the only way. The only way that my wife's half brothers and sisters and her dad's side of the family, the only way they will ever have a good relationship with my family and with my kids is if they choose and decide that they are going to respect me as the husband and father. If they can't respect me, they want to treat us like we're separate and do their little blame game. I'm the reason they can't have a relationship with their sister and they should be able to tell me whatever they want to tell me and blah, 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 all this stuff, then they will not have a relationship with my family. So I'm trying to, I guess, give you a heads up that I know it goes against what you want to do. I know it hurts, but try to find, if you really want a relationship with your dad, try to find a natural way to honor, even though you don't want to, but show honor and respect to his new wife. I know that's hard. I know it's hard, but it's his wife.
It's slightly different because we came first, and he was married to my mom for 23 years. So he had a family first. I think it's a little bit different in your situation, but I totally understand how you don't want her family going behind your back, especially with your children.
Absolutely.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like us kids did come first, and we lost a lot of our dad to this woman.
Right.
But I do understand what you're saying, that he's not going to change his mind about her.
No, because she's the one. I mean, listen, I know you're his beloved daughter, right? Right.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, you were, right? And that's an important relationship. But she's the one laying naked in bed with him every night. And I'm not trying to give you a disgusting, image, but I mean, just that's the reality of it. That relationship is far more intimate than you could ever have with your dad. Your relationship is a different type of relationship. It's one in which he will be there for you and supportive you, but that only comes, especially in marriage, if you have a mutual respect for their unification of marriage. I would say this, in your situation, you don't have to like her. I would struggle with it too, simply because it's not your real mom, and you know that it was terrible, but the way that he just ran off with her and she's the home wrecker and whatever. I get it. But you've got two choices. You can say, you know what? He made his bed. He can lie in it, so to speak, and leave the situation completely and go no contact with him and move on with your life. And you find a unification. You find a relationship for yourself. But if you do want your dad in your life, then you're going to have to submit to the understanding that he's in a unified marriage, whether you like it or not. You don't have to honor her, but honor their marriage. Because
Okay.
that's how you honor your father. You honor his marriage. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't, when it comes to my wife's siblings, I don't care if they don't like me, but doggone it, respect and honor the marriage. Don't go behind my
Mhm.
back. Don't try to smear campaign me with my wife. It's just ridiculous what people think they can do. And so that's something that I'm passionate about and in this. But it comes down to a lot of us, and you've reminded me this right now too. There's a lot of breakdown. People have long forgotten just how, uh, you know, important the unification of marriage is. And yes, it oftentimes happens in a way we don't like it. The way that your father remarried was very unfortunate. It truly is. But it does not stop the fact that he is remarried, that he has that unification, that this other woman who you don't like is taking care of him in ways that you can't and you shouldn't, you know?
Yep. What
And
would you do if you were me if it was always hurting you?
I would definitely keep my distance. I mean,
Yeah.
I separated myself. My parents did go through all of that. By the way, my dad it was a classic womanizer, very narcissistic. Now I love my dad dearly because I learned how I can have a relationship with him. But very narcissistic. He left my mom and us kids when I was 4, and my little brother
Okay.
was a baby. He had 3 different wives. He had 4 wives before he died of a heart attack this past year. And
Wow.
yeah, 4 wives. He lived that wild child life. He was that typical California hippie guy going around, and that's what was up with him. That's what made him feel good. That's what they did. And my mom was a wreck and became an alcoholic, and she was married 3 times. And um, I don't think she ever really fully got over my dad. And but I just growing up with all this, just kind of distanced myself from it. I realized that I didn't want my life to look like either one of theirs, period, end. And I think that, by doing that and kind of becoming more independent and living without them, I just learned to have a different view and not get caught up in their drama. Uh, so I would say if I was in your situation, me personally, I wouldn't get involved. I would, communicate with my dad the most that we can do it, that in which way I felt safe. So if that was once every 6 months, then so be it. And there were
Okay.
times,
And when you
yeah.
and when you mention like the sexual thing, do you think that all men are just completely controlled by that? Like no man can make a good decision just because a woman's lying naked next to him?
It's a huge part of it. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a huge part of it. It is a huge part of it. Men are very sexual, beings, and women are too. But even in old age, 50, 60, 70. I mean, look at Hugh Hefner. He needed to surround himself with 10 women for crying out loud, or however many he had in the mansion. So it's just a part of men. Men I don't know what it is. We come out of the womb, out of the belly of a mother, and the first thing we do are hanging off of the breasts. You know what I mean? And feeding, and that's the first relationship that we have. That's when all children come into the world. This is it. But it creates this bond, and then for most men, when you have this bond, it's such a strong desire all throughout life, and it's not just the sex. It's nurturing. It's that nurturing thing that only women can, from what I believe, anyways. Not trying to anger anybody who has different preferences out there, but from my understanding, there's a nurturing that women can give. Again, it's that mothering nurturing that men so crave and desire. So
Yes.
sex is a part of it, but just being up against a woman, being held by a woman, being talked to
Mhm.
softly by a woman, that's that mothering, that nurturing that men need. Okay, and this is getting into the intimate of intimates, and you're not going to do that. Your dad's not going to
Yep.
lay up against your breast with your arm around him as you nurture him, right?
Mhm.
This is what an image of marriage is. And I know, and a lot of people, if this fails in marriage, then it's just like living with friends and it doesn't work out. But yeah, so to answer your question, yeah, that nurturing element, which men need at the end of the day, every day, good job. You're working hard for the family. You're kicking ass. Come here. That's that mothering, nurturing that men need. Sex is a huge part of that. Huge part of that. And
Do you
that
think there'll be any justice, like,
justice for who? For her or for your dad?
or for me? Like, I mean, not that I
Or
want
for
them to
you?
like, go to hell or anything. I mean, I definitely don't want anything like that. But is there any justice in the end? Because God's a God of justice, right?
God is the God of justice. Absolutely. Absolutely. So justice for you. Well, I mean, you're that's a good
I mean, maybe
question.
they'll learn the area of their error of their ways at the end or something.
You know, I spoke with my father, my dad, and this past Christmas. So for those of you who follow the royal we, I went back to California. We visited California for this past Christmas, and I visited my dad. We stayed a night. My dad and I together. It was the last great night we had, and we sat down. We had some cigars and sipped on some whiskey because that's what he enjoyed doing. And I had a long talk with him, and he actually cried. I'd never seen my dad cry before, and he told me this. He said, and I think he probably had a little bit too much whiskey. I don't know. Maybe we both did. But he said something to the extent of, Kevin, I don't, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to be here right now. I don't deserve you boys being in my life talking about me and my brother. He said, I don't deserve this. And he had his breakdown. And it's weird because he died, just a few months, probably 5 months after that. He passed away of a sudden heart attack. But he was able to say all this about what he really felt. Prior to this Christmas, I never would have thought he ever did anything wrong. He just seemed to be jumping from relationship to relationship. They would fail. He would remarry. And I just said, that's just how he wants to live his life. And I didn't want anything bad to happen to him.
Exactly.
I wanted him to be blessed. I really did. And so I would encourage you to understand that, yes, narcissists know. When we talk about this personality type, they know. And this is part of why they choose to kind of stay away from you and limit that contact, because deep down, there's so much guilt and shame embodied in these people because of their choices. Your dad has guilt and shame, even if he doesn't act like it, even if he doesn't show it. And it may take till his dying day where you were there visiting him just to say, I love you, that maybe you'll see him say, you're an amazing person, and you might see it.
Yeah.
But then again, you might not. But ultimately,
yeah. Well, I do love them, but
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I hope that helped.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. What a great conversation. I really enjoyed that past conversation. So thank you so much for calling those powerful questions. And thank you also, Shelly, for your calling in. And wow, it's already late. It's almost 10 o'clock. Any final questions? Yeah, Mark says that makes a lot of sense. They carry all that guilt and shame. Yeah, listen, narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, they carry guilt and shame. They do. And it's real tragic. It's real tragic that they carry all that shame and guilt, but there's nothing that you can do to pull it out of them. Craig says, so if someone likes older women, you just label them? Label them what? Older woman liker? I guess is there another name for it? A cougar hunter? I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. A cougar. Oh, forgive me, ladies. I'm not trying to joke, but cougar hunter. Let's see. Haley Swanson, how to forget a narc. Oh boy. Haley, the first thing I could tell you is, one, don't be in a hurry. Your body's going to heal the length of time it takes to heal. But the best way to forget a narc is to block all access to them, even the friends that you have together. So go no contact, complete no contact, social media, stop associating with the friends, the mutual friends as well. You need to get everything out of your mind about them. and move on to brand new things. That's the only way to do it. D, thank you for the shout out on PayPal. Appreciate that. Yes, people. I don't know if there's a link for PayPal, but if you go to the description box down below, there's a PayPal link down there. Kyle says, not a question, but thank you, Kevin, for all the work and guidance that you do. Thank you. I appreciate that, Kyle. I really do. A puma. Haley says it's a puma. That's what it is. So a youngster going for going for the cougar is the puma. I like that's great. That's great. Okay, so yeah, they get labeled a puma. They like older women. They get labeled a puma. Christy, they can't. They carry it instead of dealing with it. It is sad. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, here we go. Fee Fox and question. They stay on your mind months to years after. Yes, capturing those thoughts are getting easier, but they still catch me off guard and surprise me. Is that normal? Any suggestions? Yeah. So it is perfectly normal, by the way. I still in every now and then struggle in my thought life as it goes back to some of the tormenting things and the hurt and the pain and the rejection of me. And as I shared with you tonight, the sheer rejection of what I felt was our marriage. I took, the siblings and in-laws' response to me and how they treated me as their rejection of my marriage. It's an ultimate rejection of a person, and I still think about it from time to time. In fact, every now and then I still ask my wife, do you think if I would have done this or said this, would it have been better? And my wife's like, Kevin, no, stop thinking about it. Don't worry about it, right? So this stuff, Fee, it is, in all honesty, you will have bits and pieces every now and then that will come to your mind, okay? It's just in your ability to know what to do with these thoughts, how to pack it away, how to deal with it. One of the key things is being able to have someone to talk to. I would say, for me, in my situation, it is, the difficult part for me is because I'm married, and so the reality is that I do have a constant reminder when I have my wife next to me. I have a constant reminder of her family that rejected me. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. And I think there's a part of me that wanted so desperately to get along with her side of the family. I felt like that was my responsibility. And so what an epic failure I felt like to be cussed at and called names and blamed and accused and all this and that. And I've struggled with it for years. It's really taken, a long time for my wife to finally say, Kevin, listen, that part of my family, which, by the way, they're only half brothers and sisters. They're not even full brothers and sisters. But it took a long time for my wife to say, no, listen, don't worry about them. I'm not. Kevin, you're my family. I'm not worried about them. You shouldn't be either. So in other words, I took it harder than my wife did because I was the one that felt the rejection. And so obviously I would take it harder. Yeah, Fee, so it takes a long time. It takes a long time for you to work this, and it will catch you off guard. It will surprise you. And the only suggestions I would have is don't try to ignore it or block it. Feel it. Try to see if it's trying to tell you something. Communicate it. Get in the practice of communicating with people, good, close friends, not in a way that's smearing somebody's name, but just be able to talk about, hey, I'm feeling this way right now. I'm wondering, if I could have done something differently, or in relationships, is it okay to be like this? Just get affirmations from unbiased sources who maybe don't even know you and the other person, right? Just start to bring closure to yourself of your part in the relationship. That would be my suggestion to you. And to Shia Girl. And I hope that helps. Right. Shia Girl asked if you could do a video on how to communicate with people. Absolutely. Yeah. What is wrong with liking cougars? Craig says. Absolutely nothing, man. I saw Craig was asking that. Nothing wrong with that. Of course, they got the label for that, Pumas. But listen, I would say there is a warning that is issued there is there's a warning issued in Proverbs. Solomon was warning his son, be careful of the older woman, the cougar, who lures in uh, younger dudes. And typically, I guess the only thing you'd want to make sure is that they're not married, because that can be an absolute death trap. All right, for everybody involved. And so that would be the problem that I would say in liking so-called cougars or older women, because you've got to understand most older women have kids, relationships, possibly marriage. So enter at your own risk. And a lot of young dudes out there think, "Oh, no big deal. I'm young and I do it, get away with anything." Oh yeah, okay, all right. Well, I wouldn't necessarily risk all that, because you never know. You can end up with your face rearranged to the back of your head. It can happen, right? So just saying. Um, yeah, and Haley did ask. I noticed since getting older, younger guys are always trying to hit up. I think that uh, you know, most guys do. Again, Haley, this goes back to that nurturing aspect. Again, it's the mothering. Most young guys are looking for that mothering, nurturing element. But also, there's so much, nasty stuff out there that is going on that are encouraging young men to do that, um, because they have a feeling that they'll experience more than having to really do the slow dance with a young girl. And that just comes from this culture of wanting everything now, right? So for a younger guy to go for an older woman, I would imagine that the idea there is that an older woman is not going to necessarily require a slow dance, as much as just get straight to the point. Where is nature would have it, younger girls, they need that slow dance. They require that. There's not that, it's not such a rush. But anyhow, it's just my thoughts on it. But I'm not a dating expert. I'm really not. But I am a toxic relationship help coach, and so I can help give you guidance on how to avoid toxicity. And anyhow, there is a reason for the term cougar. There you go, Fee. Fee, tell him. Fee understands what I'm saying, right? There is a term. There's a reason they're called cougars. I'm sure that it's an intriguing name. I often wondered where they got that name from too, but I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that there are big teeth in cougars. There are claws, and usually cougars eat prey, eat their prey. So it can't be good. It can't be good. And so anyhow, sorry, D. All right, D and Tanya are on it. All right. Well, I guess that we'll probably just sign off. We've gone for an hour. I absolutely enjoy the fact that you're all here on the Royal We live chat tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. And we'll be back next Monday night, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Royal We live chat. Again, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time every Monday night. Be on the organic channel this week. I am going to be posting videos on health supplements and stuff like that, and some other good things coming out this week on the organic channel. Saturday, and each and every Saturday at 9 a.m. is Royal We Fellowship. This is the in-depth Bible study pertaining to understanding this toxic world of narcissism. And I really encourage you, especially those of you who have been active in churches but currently are not, I would encourage you to join in on that. And with that, we'll be back. And have a blessed night, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye. Song for Tanya. Bump, 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 bump.